that said, let's give everybody a big round of applause to Mr. Chris Benchley out in the West Coast. Chris, floor is yours.
Hey, David, good afternoon. And thanks everyone for making time to come in and listen in to our story with Rock the Trades. As David said, I'm Chris Benchley, co-founder and CEO of Surehan. And just real quickly, in terms of context, if you don't know Surehan, we're a tech startup out here in San Jose. We're venture funded by Stanley Black & Decker, the good folks that put tools on the shelves of your favorite hardware store. And essentially, we're Match.com for industrial employment. So we're building out a platform that gives industrial employers across energy, manufacturing, construction, faster, more cost-efficient way to find best fit skilled trades talent. And Rock the Trades really was something that grew out of our original mission, which was to reduce industrial labor shortages and eliminate underemployment. And I thought I'd just take you through a quick presentation this morning, just give you an overview of the program, how it started, talk a bit about how you can get involved. Certainly follow up after the presentation or after today's summit. I'll leave my email at the end, and we'll certainly leave some time to take some questions. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into that presentation very quickly. All right, so let's see. So as I said, as we were going through our journey the last 3 years or so, we realized that as important as it is to help employers find best fit talent, help workers out there find good jobs, the bigger problem actually sits at the top of the talent pipeline. As David said, there's just not enough people out there getting excited and enthusiastic about embarking on a career in the skilled trade. So we launched back in April a workforce development initiative that's really focused on raising awareness of the skilled trades career paths as financially rewarding and fulfilling career paths for folks to embark upon. And for those that choose to do it, enable them in a variety of ways. And really at the core of what we're doing is pushing back on this decades, as long as I've been in the workforce, call it 30 years, you can see by the white beard, as long as I've been in the workforce, there's been this decades-long narrative that is undervalued vocational training, what's now called career technical education, union apprenticeships, with this college first, college degree by default narrative and that mindset. And again, it's not to say that there's nothing wrong with college. It worked out great for me. It aligned with my interests and ambitions. I got a good ROI on that investment, but it's not the best fit starting point for everybody. It doesn't speak to folks that want to build or make or go down a different career path. So we decided that we had an imperative to go out and make a difference out there. And I know I'm probably preaching in the choir with this audience, but like if you look at the data around this problem, you look at data from the manufacturing sector, I mean, some of the shortages that we're going to see over the next decade are stunning. I just read reports from NECA on the electrical contractor side, where for every 10,000 electricians that are aging out of the workforce, only 7,000 are coming in behind them. Studies back in Q1 of last year, I haven't seen the updated study for this year, from Associated Builders and Contractors in the construction world, indicated a shortage of almost 500,000 workers. So this is a real issue out there. And I'm sure many of you are probably feeling this out on the job site with your crews. And so we started digging into kind of what was underneath the issue. Well, big driver is the baby boomer generation is currently aging out of the workforce. By 2030, the bulk of that generation will have retired from their careers, and they've held a disproportionately high percentage of skilled trade jobs. So, you look at the median age of trades folks out there, and you're looking, 40s to upper 40s by and large. And then you look at a number like this, and I'm not in the room with you, so I'd ask you to guess, but right. So you look at a number like this, and you start to see some of the disparity that's happened over the last 20, 30 years, where somehow there's been this stigma associated with going down blue collar career paths, or not really being aware of the potential that those career paths offer. So that baby boomer issue is real. I think the other part of it too, one of the things we realized in a variety of research that we had done and other industry research that we've read, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding and misperceptions around really everything around the skilled trades career paths, right? Everything from it being an excellent path to entrepreneurship or small business ownership, you look, this is just one study from the state of Wisconsin where it's comparing someone who goes and gets a 4-year public college degree. And by the way, $7,500 a year over 4 years is a pretty low cost degree. And it probably would take someone 5 years to get that degree. And then you compare that to the earnings potential of, let's say, Janie, who goes and is accepted into an IBEW apprenticeship program to become an electrician. You can clearly see that, you know, the earnings potential in the trades is as rewarding and has as much potential as a white collar career path. So we're just really trying to get out there and level set the information that's there. And then you think about college degree from an investment standpoint, right? And, you know, you've probably read and seen in whatever media you follow, the student loan debt out there is in the trillions of dollars range. And I think one of the things that was most remarkable to me when we dug into this issue is that of the almost $2 trillion in outstanding loan debt here in the US, my generation, Gen Xers, account for 35% of that. So this is a lifelong debt obligation that folks are considering. And, you know, remember, kids that are coming out of high school, I'm 52, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. When I was 17 or 18, I had no idea. So again, it's really all about helping educate young folks out there, parents, and their parents in terms of some of these issues, right? And then, David, this number is not the championship drought that you just alluded to, although I guess it is for the Bulldogs, but it's actually, then you think about that college debt, and the reality is, assuming folks even finish getting their degree, a recent study from Federal Reserve Bank of New York showed that almost half of them that invested in that college education and got that degree entered a field where they didn't even need that college degree. So this really has just started getting our wheels turning around this idea that, like, look, again, helping work find workers and workers find work is our core business, and what we do is important. But again, if we don't start really going after this in a meaningful way, we're going to really be in crisis mode, as if we're not already, in the sense that the thing I like to say is there's no white collar world without blue collar workers. This virtual summit doesn't happen with folks pulling fiber along right of ways of the railroad, maintaining cell towers, manufacturing computers and cameras and so on, let alone the buildings that we live and work in, right? So that's kind of the premise, or these are sort of some of the data around what we're kind of attacking. So then it's like, well, what are you doing? How are we going after it? So we're doing a few things with the Rock the Trades initiative. The first is, it's really important to honor those who are already working in the skilled trades across the US and North America in general. And so one of the things that we're doing is we've created an ambassador program, an influencer program, folks whom we call rockers, that allow us to really put their stories, you know, their work lives, the success that they've achieved, the challenges that they've overcome as they've built their career, really up on the figurative stage, right? Leveraging social media, going to the places where young folks go to consume their information today. They're not always listening to their parents or guidance counselors or teachers. We want to show them prime shining examples or vivid examples of what success looks like. So we're building this out. We're adding about 2 new ambassadors a month, sharing their stories on rockthetrades.com, pushing it out on social media, again, just to show the broad representation of folks you might expect to be in the trades, as well as some faces and backgrounds that might surprise you, right? We believe this, to solve the labor shortages out there, we really need to come at this with a come one, come all mindset, look at bringing in underrepresented and underserved populations into the skilled trades, not just educating the youth, but looking at helping folks separating from the military to enter the trades, folks coming out of the correctional system, folks that are in white collar careers, mid-career, that just burned out and tired of doing Zoom calls all day. They might want to try something different. So honoring and getting these stories out in front is really central to the work that we're doing. The second part about it, as I said, I think there's a lot of misperceptions out there around the skilled trades. So we've been, over the course of the last 2 years, developing a significant amount of content and resources for the trades curious, folks who might be thinking about embarking upon a career in the trades, But as you may know, I can't tell you how many folks we talked to over the last few years when you ask them, well, how'd you become a welder? How'd you become a carpenter? And the story is always something like, well, it was my parents' business, and I just followed in the footsteps of my family. To, oh, it was a buddy of mine or a friend of mine introduced me. Is all these sort of happy accidents. And so the trailhead isn't really well lit if you don't have that exposure, again, when you're young or through your family or your own personal network. So as I said, I think what we're trying to do is just to raise awareness of these career paths to an all-collar audience. And information, knowledge is power. And so we're really just trying to get that content out there, as well as take contributed content from partners that are actually joining us on this mission. But the whole idea is to light really the way for the new generation of the skilled trades workforce. And then the third leg of the stool for us with Rock the Trades is really the empowerment part. And there's two pieces to it. We launched last summer the Rock the Trades Scholarship Program. Surehand funded the first $10,000 in awards, which we awarded back in November for the spring term. We gave out 4 awards. And that money is focused on folks that are going to either trade schools to get skills and certificates in a specific trade, on up to an associate's degree, in that kind of industrial job realm across energy, manufacturing, construction. And I'm happy to say, with our partners, both organizational and individual donors, we're going to 10x that this year in terms of the dollars that we're giving back to those that want to embark on those career paths. The second way we're empowering them is, as I said, we started out as a jobs matching platform, always free to workers. Our business model is focused on monetizing the employer side of the equation. But as we started getting into this problem, we realized that in order to really empower someone who's already working in the skilled trades, someone who might be thinking about entering the skilled trades, that this combination of value and user experiences is the thing that was going to be most impactful to them across their entire career arc before they even decide to embark on a career in the trades, to those early career years, to mid to late career, so that we can help them find training resources and training providers near them that can get them the skills they need to embark upon that career. Once they're already working in the trades, find work, get connected directly to hiring managers and employers. And even as they might be passive candidates working out there in the field, but they're thinking about, a change or looking to advance their earnings potential, use technology to actually connect the dots for them. And lastly, and I think the thing that's going to become most important, is there's a lot of networks out there, both social networks, professional networks. And one of the things we've realized is that the blue collar workforce has been largely underserved in this way. And we believe that in the same way we're using technology to connect, work with workers in the center, learners with training opportunities, pre-career folks with ways to skill up, connecting them to each other for peer-to-peer interactions, informal coaching and mentoring. Nothing sort of sells the trades or a career path like engaging directly with an electrician or a carpenter who's actually gone before them and is, again, that vivid example of someone who's found success in the trades. So those are the sort of 3 primary ways that we're coming at attacking this problem. But for me, I think the really the most important aspect of this, and David alluded to it at the intro, is I started thinking about this issue, this narrative out there that is undervalued blue collar career paths. And as I started really thinking about it, I know that over the past 5, 10, 20 years, all the entities you all see up on the left-hand side of the screen, from programs at the federal, state, and local level, employers like yourselves and others who employ skilled trades workers and semi-skilled labor, or sell brands that sell products and services to that audience, to industry organizations, to labor unions, to trade schools, community colleges, and so on. This labor shortage, these issues, it's not a new problem. It's not like we're not the first ones to discover that. But the one thing that jumped out to me was, for all those initiatives that are out there, and believe me, I think you'd agree, we need more, not less. But the challenge with those initiatives is that they're inherently siloed. from the get-go, meaning they're focused on a specific industry or a given trade in a specific region or a community or cohort within the community. And that's fine. But from a marketing standpoint, everybody talks about the data in the same way because we're all referring to the same research largely in the same data. But from a marketing standpoint, everybody talks about the issue and the problem in slightly different terms, using different messages, different hashtags out there, right? And so it occurred to me that and it may be a simple observation, but that creates a lot of noise or dissonance out in the marketplace from a marketing standpoint. So when you're trying to generate awareness and excitement about something, you really need to focus the message. And we see in Rock the Trades, and we really stood it up as almost like an open source social impact brand or initiative, where even though we invested in standing it up and we're bringing on our ambassadors, our rocker influencers, we're also bringing on roadie partners, entities, representation from the entities along the left-hand side of the screen, so that they can start weaving the Rock the Trades message and narrative into their own workforce development efforts. It's not to take over those initiatives or those brands, but to actually create something that unites them in a way that is a call to action or a rallying cry around this issue. And we believe, just like, you go back, I'll date myself, you go back to the 1980s era, Nancy Reagan, you remember probably, most of you probably remember Just Say No to Drugs, right? You think about the dairy board campaign around Got Milk. Everyone's walking around thinking like, oh, all of a sudden I need a glass of milk. This is the same idea. Is how do we as the industry, all stakeholders, come together and really harmonize the message, really get to signal so we can elevate this issue into our national consciousness. And so the one thing I'm really excited about is we've had a lot of momentum, as you can imagine in the early days with something like this, it's a lot of pushing, you're banging on doors, you're trying to get people to pay attention. And we're now at the point in less than a year, in like 9 months, where we've got rockers and roadie partners coming to us wanting to get involved, getting excited around this narrative. So it's just something that I think as the tent gets bigger and we get more partners and individuals involved with this mission and promoting this message, it's something that can have an impact, not just in the near term. I'm not naive. I mean, this is a generational problem that, someone who's in middle school, if we can get them into the trades, that's great. That's not going to help you guys out right now in terms of the crews you need on your projects or job sites. So I think it's this balance of starting to do that long tail generational shifting, but also engaging other potential entrants into the industry from an all collar audience. Folks in the blue collar world, those households get the joke on this. They've been passing these career paths down generation over generation. And again, I think there's an opportunity to expand awareness so that, again, that all collar audience, blue to white collar, everybody in between, can get excited when their kid decides to go into a welding school or get into an apprenticeship program in the same way they would if their kid got into, Stanford or Harvard or University of Delaware or Denver or whatever for their college education. So that's the program at a really high level. I promised David I would keep this to about 20 minutes. It's real easy to get involved. If you want to just learn more, go to rockthetrades.com. You can follow us on our social media channels. We focus on Instagram and LinkedIn primarily. As I said, we're working with our roadie partners, where we're just working with them, and every partner is different in terms of their reach and their marketing programs. And so it's really sort of a custom engagement, but there's no dollars involved. There's no legal, like we keep this super low friction. We really want that message to get out there. So there's marketing and integration opportunities. We work with partners, marketing teams, sponsorship. We have a variety of programs that are coming online where we're looking to bring on sponsors. And I think, again, most importantly, it's really important to enable those that are embarking on these career paths. So as I said, we launched our scholarship program. We're at about 80% of our 100K goal for this year. Surehand funds 100% of the program administration. So we partner with a not-for-profit called Scholarship America to administer that program. But again, these are just ways that you or your organizations can get involved with what we're up to. And, in my mind's eye, when I start to see Rock the Trades, we, through our relationship with Stanley Black & Decker and the DeWalt brand, we did some cool stuff with NASCAR last year. Like, you can start to see how this message And this, this social impact brand really can hopefully get out there and make a difference. So David, I kept it to about 20 minutes on the nose. So I will, I don't know if we want to open it up to questions or however you guys want to do that. I'm gonna go ahead and kill my share.
I'll say I thought it looked really cool. You guys do stuff with high schools? Like, how do you get into like a high school for a presentation or a speech or?
Yeah, Sarah, it's a great question. So, I think the trick apart. So the short answer is we've started out our work on the academic side with community college and trade schools, because those are the folks that are nearest to entering the workforce. And we're currently in the process of finding partners that can help us scale to get to those schools. As you can imagine, we're this sort of, if you think of us as sort of air cover, right? We're this brand, this message. It's the initiatives that are already happening out there. I'm telling you, there's thousands, tens of thousands of initiatives at the local level. We're working on pulling in those initiatives into the mission. And I think the key is working with organizations like there's guidance counselor associations, for example. And, working with an organization like that, who's already got that network established, so we can drop the message into their network and let them push it out. We really see that kind of node-based approach as the way to really scale this up. So great question. So I would just ask you guys in the last few minutes, I mean, even just like thumbs up, I mean, does this message, this narrative resonate with you guys? Is it something that you're seeing in your day-to-day and in the workforce that you're dealing with? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's good.
I would say I like it. Like for me, I want to get the kids when they're like 8th, 9th, 10th grade, because, coming from that, you have to go to college, and now I got my master's and everything. Even my son's 17 and he's not even considering this. And it's just like, I highly suspect he'll go to college and flame out in 6 months. Like he's one of those kids. Like, how do you like readjust that mentality that they've been, getting since 8th grade and career counseling in 9th grade? And, for me, that's kind of where I'm looking at, because, working with electricians and HVAC contractors, I've seen guys in my whole career be very successful. Because like I'm trying to tell him that, but he's just got, oh, I've got to go get my business degree. It's like, no, you don't. But that's so for me, I can see where it makes sense, community college, but like I can't even get my own kid to do like a community college because he doesn't really know what he wants. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I mean, I love it. I think it's fabulous, but I like the idea of getting at them when they're 15. And like, you could be a welder and make a crap ton of money, look to that, or an electrician or whatever.
And look, we meet a lot of folks in the trades that go on and get a degree later. They decide they want to get into construction management, or they want to pursue some other avenue. Again, we're not anti-college. It's just like, look, the default position shouldn't be go to college. The one thing I would comment on, I think you're going to see a lot more with our partners in terms of research and messaging and PR, and a big part of this is the PR campaign, right? So part of that social media, part of it's broadcast media. I think you all probably see every day now. There's whatever media you follow. There's articles and segments on the skilled labor shortage. And, forget the Great Resignation and the broader issues around it. Within the trades, again, it's becoming crisis mode. I think for the school age folks like your son, like you said, I do believe that, we're going to continue to work and get this message pushed out in the schools and try to do it at scale. But I think the other thing we're really focused on is, this is where I do think the influencers and social media can play a role. Like if you look at our Instagram feed on Rock the Trades, you'll see we're curating content from amazing craftspeople out there. And it's not like we're being preachy. I like to think of it like that's the donut, right? So the donut is all that fun stuff. It's that interesting content that's going to get a kid engaged and exciting. Oh, wow, that's pretty cool. Moreover, that person looks just like me. I might want to go do that too. But what we're doing in the middle of that feed is we're sticking little Brussels sprouts, right? Information around how to get started, where to get training, all that kind of thing, how much you can earn. So I think it is really changing about how we go after getting this message out, not avoiding or abandoning the parent, guidance counselor, teacher combination as an influencer, but looking at other ways we can get kids excited about careers in the trades.
Well, one thing that I've seen that will help too, because not everybody, college, well, I don't want to go to college, I want to go to community college, is to push union apprenticeship programs. Because that, it's basically a 4-year program, and it's basically going to night school for 4 years. I mean, it's just as an intense to going to college for 4 years, but it's night school while you hold down a full-time job. But that's a good place too.
100%. We focus a lot of our content on the union side. We're working on relationships on the unions and getting them involved with this narrative. I mean, again, all the unions have been investing heavily in workforce development and training programs. I mean, none of this is new to them, but they're definitely part of this narrative. I was just up at the UA Local 467 up here in Burlingame with the JATC, the training center director. And you're 100% correct. I mean, you earn while you learn, right? You're not taking on a ton of debt. You're going to come out and have a job for life. I think the other thing that's really important in terms of misperceptions is, these jobs are high-tech jobs, or they're becoming high-tech jobs. And, I was struck at that UA training facility, every apprentice gets a laptop. There's a computer lab in there where they're going in and, whether it's CAD CAM drawings or blueprints, or like, these jobs are much higher tech than I think certainly the young population out there realizes. So again, I think this is about how do we really just debunk the myths. We're trying to do it at a very high level. And then I think, Sarah, to your point, really getting out to those programs that are already boots on the ground and giving them tools and help them, push this message is going to be key for us.
Any other questions out there?
There we got you.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Okay. What I was saying is that, when I went to school, I was an athlete. That's what I wanted to do. The big thing is that if you have kids or they're involved in, rec sports locally, all of those rec, whether it's lacrosse, basketball, football, I mean, God knows, you go to a picture day, you could have 1,000 kids there, and they're not all going to be college material. Some of them think that they're going to make it into the NFL, but most of them aren't. And going into those local meetings, whether it's in the rec league or whatever, you have that opportunity to plant that seed. And the biggest thing is it's getting involved. This is it's time consuming. But if you think about your business, you're going to need plumbing, you're going to need electricians, you're going to need mill workers, you're going to need all these people. Maybe not you need them yesterday, but if we plant the seed across the country, all of us, and God knows there's a lot of us. I mean, I've got thousands and thousands of people that are in circulation that could possibly give some time during the week to go into the school, do a little demo in front of your kid's 5th or 6th grade class. Hey, I'm an electrician, I'm an HVAC tech, I'm a plumber. All of these things, planting the seeds. Not everybody's gonna, is gonna bite the apple per se, but there are going to be a few that are going to think about it. And I remember all the conversations I had with my son. I said, look, if you're going to do trade, become a plumber. Everybody needs water. You have to cook with it. You have to drink it every day. You have to, you need it to survive. And there are a ton of plumbers out there that don't have kids to give their business to. Let's find one, become an apprentice, and purchase his business and be an entrepreneur. And you'll be a millionaire. Just because water, everybody's got to use it. Just like welding, electrician, everybody's talking about robots and AI. Guess what? We're still going to need people to build all that stuff too. It's not like it's just going to materialize and show up on the job site. When my son, he looked at, he first he was going to be an auto mechanic. Then he wanted to be a motorcycle mechanic. I said, hey, you're going to have to do it someplace more because during the winter, I don't even ride my bike. And then he found out that there were over 600,000 aviation mechanics that were going to retire. And the planes, even during the pandemic, when the flights shut down, those airplanes, those jets, Delta, Continental, American, they just can't sit on the line. They have to be maintained. So even though they weren't flying, there were people working on those airplanes. And he went through a 2-year program. That's how long his aviation gig was. And when he got out, he had job offers all over the place. just because there were so many of those people that were looking for individuals. And here's a really good story. His first day at Delta, he was only there 3 hours. And a guy from Boeing called him and said, hey, we need to hire 9,000 people. They have 142,000 people that work for Boeing. They need to hire 9,000. And we'll pay you 5 times the amount of money if you move to Charleston. And he looked at his boss and said, hey, I know I've only been here my first day, it's 3 hours, but what would you do? And his boss said, get out of here, go take the money. So he got online, rented a room with some young real estate dude, 23 years old in Mount Pleasant, drove over to Charleston in 5 hours, and he, I became an empty nester, but he's working with his hands. He's doing what he wants. And after he finishes, and just yesterday, he called me because I just got another job offer that I might be able to take in October when I finish my contract. I said, well, what'd you tell him? And he said, well, I want to finish my contract with Boeing, and then I'll see what happens. And I told him, I said, look, Boeing doesn't want to lose you. They're going to offer you more money to stay as it is. If we all go out there and do our own part, even if it's an hour every couple of weeks, go out to the PTA meeting. Go out to your local recreation, softball, lacrosse, ice hockey, whatever it might be, and plant that seed. The sum has always been bigger than the home, and we can actually get some of these youngsters to go out and think about a career in construction and all these other subs that maintain these projects. So that's my story. I've lived it, and I'm proud of my kid. I know a lot of his friends. Are going to walk out of school with a 4-year degree, and they're going to be looking for a job, and they're not going to get their money. And I'm not pounding on colleges. They have their merits, but trades, we need trade people. We're in construction, so we have to do something about it. And I think having Chris on today, I hope you all become ambassadors. You all get the logo on your trucks. I'm going to do some stuff in the magazine, and we're going to do our part as much as we can to push the narrative. So Chris, thank you so much out on the West Coast. It was a great presentation. Listen, I recorded this. I'm going to post it up on LinkedIn once I get my videographer to tweak it and so forth. But we're going to put it out there, and hopefully some of you will put it on your website too. If you become ambassadors, to have a presence. And believe me, curiosity killed the cat. They're gonna see rock. Hey, what is that? Oh wow. Well, let me tell you about it. And then one person, and it's a multiplier effect. So, Chris, thank you so much. You were great. Yeah.
Thanks, David. Hey, everyone, have a great day. Appreciate it.